Welcome. My name's Christine. You're listening to the podcast Coming Up for Air. This week I'm going to share some thoughts about how to grieve mindfully while moving out of guilt. Guilt is such a big stumbling block on the path of healing, heavy weight. And it often arrives with fear, anxiety and worry all whirling around in the mind. Many people share this, and it's something that's expressed many times when I support groups. And so if you're someone who has been caught in that loop of the if-onlys and the what-ifs on repeat, then I hope this will be supporting you. In order to move forward, we must become conscious of the stories held in our minds, all the accusations and the judgments that we tell ourselves, and to hold that with kindness and gentleness. Because moving towards caring for ourselves with compassion will really support our healing and our growth through this journey. And while compassion doesn't necessarily make the feelings disappear instantly, it'll give you the resilience and capability to better cope with the heaviness of the emotions of grief. So, how do we work with guilt? Well, firstly, noticing when you're going into that mind loop. And then we add tools in like breathing, as well as finding a way to share the story, what's going on, what we're feeling. And that's how we begin to mourn, to release. You can use the practice of mindfulness, growing in awareness, if you like, to bring attention to just how you're breathing, whether you're shallow breathing due to anxious thoughts, for example, and just noticing your thoughts as they come up, as they arise. Mindfulness itself provides that gentle, conscious space to release the intensity of difficult emotions such as guilt and even shame. Over time, it helps you come to see grief itself as a transformative force, one that can lead to healing and meaning after loss. Becoming mindful allows you to experience the present moment, this now moment. It helps us anchor in, and it helps you to begin to be more okay with being just with yourself, even with the emotional pain that you're experiencing. And what I witness as somebody who supports so many in their grief is that guilt and shame are particularly strong in cases of sudden or traumatic grief, and also what we call disenfranchised grief. And that's when a loss isn't necessarily fully recognised by society or has some stigma around it. So things like when there's a miscarriage or a stillbirth, it's not always given the full attention, validation that's so necessary for healing. Death from overdose or suicide. Other situations like the death of an ex-spouse or an estranged family member. Even like the loss of a beloved companion animal. Divorce, breakups. Anything where society hasn't really recognised fully or validated the loss that we're experiencing. Because everyone needs a witness. Everyone needs validation for their darkest sorrow. And a lot of my work with clients and groups is to help the grieving person simply stay or sit in the centre of that storm, of their own unique grief experience, to feel. And that requires allowance. or surrender, to be able to sit in that space of deep sorrow, of despair, anger, sadness. And it means noticing these feelings without judgment or trying to change them. And you can't go to that depth of pain if you don't feel safe. So we need to feel that the person who's with us, our witness, cares. Everyone needs to feel safe and accepted. So first, we have to accept the feelings that come up as they arise, as they are. And we have to be our own witness. We must notice and acknowledge what is running through the mind, what's churning up inside. And then can you allow yourself to hold nothing back? This journey of healing our grief, it requires us to go from a place of sharing what's going on or telling of that story and events to then the feeling of it. So we're moving from, in the beginning we share much around what's happened. There is a need to tell our story over and over or journal it. And then after a time, it's really important to notice and begin to have more awareness about the feelings of grief. And we're moving from the telling to the feeling. And it is the hardest part. In fact, Dr. Alan Wolfelt calls this the cracking of the heart phase, because that's what it feels like, to truly access and feel the intensity of what we're experiencing. And it's here in that space where both breath and mindfulness or awareness become really vital. And we need to have a degree of acceptance of our loss to embrace this pain. And it's a very gradual, but constructive process. And there's something very powerful that I can use with clients, little steps that release us from the grip of guilt. And it involves just a few steps. And then to really assist in a powerful way, we follow with a little forgiveness exercise. So let me just share with you what that looks like. Whenever you're trying to engage with those feelings, it's really a good thing to start with deep breathing or belly breathing for something like 3 to 5 minutes. But there are some times that you may just catch yourself going through the if only thought loop. What if I'd done this instead? And so you can go straight into just noticing, catching it, recognizing and noticing, to become aware when that feeling of guilt comes up. And then name it. Say it out loud or in your mind. For example, gosh, I'm feeling ashamed of my grief because the person died of an overdose. Or I feel so deeply sad about my beloved dog dying. I feel I should be over it by now. Recognizing that this isn't kind. Now, if you have someone you can talk that through with, all the better. And if not, then activate your breath as a means of release, to continue with a few minutes of deep belly breathing. And then add in a forgiveness exercise. There's a powerful and very effective ritual based on an ancient Hawaiian practice, Ho'oponopono. It's for forgiveness and reconciliation. The process is about making things right in relationships with others, with ancestors, with the earth, and with yourself. And we're going to use it today while holding the image, the memory, the love of your beloved one in mind. please remember, it's not about condoning certain behaviours. It's about releasing the hold that these events have had on your heart, so you can breathe again, coming up for air, if you will. It's the act and intention of holding a space for reflection, for repentance, forgiveness, and gratitude. Let me share with you what this looks like. Firstly, it's a declaration or a prayer. And we say, please forgive me, or I'm sorry. Recognizing that nobody's perfect. And following the death of a beloved one, there's many regrets. And we're trying to release all of the if onlys and should haves. And apologies pave the way for that forgiveness. And then we add in, I forgive you. And this isn't to be confused with forgetting, because it's the radical acceptance of who they are to you, releasing the hold of misperceptions or behaviours that were challenging. We're looking to have support with feelings of unresolved, maybe outrage or a sense of injustice. And then we move into thanking them. What did you learn about yourself in the relationship? How have you grown? How have you transformed? Perhaps this was a soul connection for you. What would you thank your loved one for? What are you grateful for? And we complete it with, I love you. Love is why you're grieving. Love transcends all sorrow. Asking for forgiveness and forgiving the other, it opens the heart to the fullness of love. You're affirming the love shared, the relationship, your grief, and your capacity to share yourself with another. So let's just take a moment. And if you'd like to practice this forgiveness prayer with me, this declaration, we'll do it together now. And we start with 3 rounds of breathing. Inhaling, pause, and exhale. Breathing in, hold, and full deep exhale. Again, inhale, hold, and full exhale. All the way. Another inhale, hold, and deep exhale. And just sitting comfortably, can you imagine your loved one here with you? Perhaps you have an image that comes to mind. Because this is a prayer or declaration to them. And as we state the words out loud, can you imagine maybe an energy of love being expressed from the center of your heart? You might give that energy a color, representing love or healing. And now, either state out loud or in your own mind, please forgive me. I'm sorry. You may have thoughts or specifics. Allow those to come to mind. Breathe into it and repeat if necessary. Breathing through those thoughts that come up. I'm sorry. Allowing yourself to experience how that feels in your heart center. Breathing through. And then holding that image of your loved one. Can you now tell them, I forgive you? Perhaps there were instances that were left unreconciled between you. Call those to mind and send the energy of loving acceptance. It might be as simple as I forgive you for leaving me. Breathing into that. And now switching to say thank you for all the things that they brought to you, that you can thank them for in the relationship that you shared. And just be with that sense of feeling gratitude. However short or however long time was spent with your beloved. Each moment so precious. Feeling gratitude swell in the heart for what you had. Breathing into it. And now, imagine the colour of love as a warm pink energy emerging from your heart, and you're sending it to your loved one with the statement, I love you. Sharing that energy with them, sending it to them, wrapping the whole experience in that energy of warm pink love. Breathing into it. Taking 3 deep, full breaths. Allowing any emotions to be expressed with the breath. And you can take as long as you need in this space. In completing our time together, let me summarize that little declaration for you. The words are, please forgive me, I forgive you, thank you, I love you. And so you can use this at any time to help you release things that come up. And as you go about your day, remember that little micro ritual of breathing, of just adding breath, of noticing. So becoming mindful and aware of thoughts as they come up. And then just adding the little practice. Please forgive me. I forgive you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you so much for joining me. Sending blessings and peace to your heart. Thank you.